Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 Sanderson Farms Championship preview show. First and foremost, thank you for stopping by and congratulations. If you are going to hang around and listen to my show, you are already a lot further ahead than the competitors. I'll be putting DFS lineups and bets in, so congrats. I am going to break down the course, the tournament, the skills needed, the guys that we need to look at. We're going to do models, research, analysis. And oh yes, we're going to do a quick recap of the Ryder, and I'm giving away my prize picks for tonight's Monday Night Football game. So we got all that to do. Let's get into it. Okay, so real quick, I have been talking about prizepicks.com. Again, I think it's a great way if you are looking for maybe a little better odds of winning some money or 10 times in your money. Again, I've had a lot of success, keep doing pretty well on the picks, and I've got some more for you, again, as mentioned, for Monday Night Football. And we'll talk about my picks for the Thursday Night Football. And right now, there is a promotion for Prize Picks. They are giving you a 100% match of your first deposit up to $100 if you put in my promo code GolfGuru. And so check it out. And if you want to put in 25, they'll match you 25, so on and so forth. And real quick, also, just so you know what this is, if you haven't heard of Prize Picks, they are providing projections on all different sports. It's an over or under. It's just a different way and a fun way to get involved. And I feel like a little simplified way than the usual DFS that we play. And on the right was my picks for the Thursday Night Football game against the Texans and the Panthers. And we were kicking butt. We were on our way to glory. And then Christian McCaffrey pulls up with a bad hamstring. I believe it was right in the beginning of the second quarter into the first. And that just crushed us. I mean, all we needed him to do was get one touchdown, and we were killing it. We had Sam Darnold doubled his rush yards. We had DJ Moore almost double the receptions we needed. And we had Brandon Cooks, again, almost doubling what he needed. So we were gold. And then, of course, what can happen in football? With any sport, but it seems like football a little more. You get Christian McCaffrey. So that stung. All right, but I do have my picks tonight for Monday Night Football. This is, of course, the Cowboys at home for the first time in 2 games. They've been on the road, but this is their first time back, and they are playing pretty much, I'd say, one of their top rivals in the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe this is going to be a high-scoring affair. Of course, some of the defense side for the Cowboys is out with COVID and injuries. So let me tell you what I got. I am going with Devontae Smith. Pretty much, I think, the number one wideout option they have there to receive over. So he needs 62 receiving yards, and we hit that. Miles Sanders, again, I think they don't have a ton of options. Of course, you got Rager, they got Goddard, but I like Miles Sanders to get over this. So pretty much needs 19 receiving yards. So if he gets one good reception where he gets to go with it, or even a couple, we can achieve that. On the flip side, Tony Pollard, I believe, has been used more and more in the passing and even the run game for them. Trying to, I think, give Ezekiel a long season. So we just need over 3 receptions for Tony Pollard. And then last but not least, of course, the 2 main wideouts now with Gallup down. You've got Amari, who looks, a little bit of bruised ribs, but still looks really good. He's going to play. And you got CeeDee Lamb. And really, so, last time it was very heavy. First game was heavy Cooper. Then it was a little more Lamb. I believe it'll go back a little bit to Amari, and we just need to get 6 receptions. So that's who I'm picking. Of course, put your own picks in. You can do all kinds of different things from, who has the most passing, receiving, TDs, everything. Mix it up what you see, but that's who I'm going with, and we'll see how we do. I'll put the results out on tomorrow's Sanderson Farm Show. All right. And then real quick, let's just talk about the Ryder Cup. I mean, I don't know how your guys' weekend went, but mine was not too productive, considering I was pretty glued to this. I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge, as I mentioned, Ryder Cup fan. I was at the 2004 debacle at Oakland Hills, but I've been following it, of course, forever. It is, from a sporting, just pure sports, one of my favorite events, and I've been that way since I've been younger. So I enjoyed it greatly. Of course, a few things I will note on the U.S. side, right? I was a little hesitant knowing that some of the guys play was like DJ really didn't show a whole lot all year. Morikawa, who had a terrible FedEx and was dealing with a back injury. You had Brooks Koepka coming in. He missed the practice session, had a bad wrist. You had the DeChambeau kind of stuff that was going on. But all that got put aside, and some of the best golf that definitely we've seen Morikawa and DJ play recently. Koepka played great. You had Scheffler taking out Rahm in the last session, who, Rahm pretty much carried that team on his back in 3 points. And of course, him and Garcia kind of called the Garcia thing. But a lot of the guys that I picked, remember if you watching my Ryder Cup show, I was picking the guys who I thought would get the most, matches. I hit those pretty close. They were pretty dead on. So I didn't feel, I felt pretty good about that. I ended up pretty much a push. The DFS side was kind of hard if you guys did it. It was really going to work out, of course, how the teams worked out as things went on. But anyway, I think after all said and done, I had pretty much a push on DFS. And then from a betting side, I was taking the odds, right? I took Europe, just a pure odds play. I'm not big on negative money if I'm betting on odds. So on that note, of course, if you saw Rory's kind of press whatever conversation after his, he was very emotional. You could see, to go 0-3 from a point side. He did beat Xander with the first match out, which was kind of shocking because X-Man played amazing. Him and Cantlay, they were like the unstoppable duo. It was just too much. The actual results of what we saw on paper of having, the top 15 players in the world on a team versus, when you have a talent of, you have 3 guys that are up there in the top 30. It was just too much. And this is kind of a transition period, which you heard a ton on the European side. So long story short, all that meant was, as you saw, we were popping bottles of champagne and had the biggest margin of victory since the continental Europe has been put into the Ryder Cup, which I believe was in 79. So 1990. So, of course, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm more interested now to see what they're going to do when we go over to Rome. I'm guessing you're going to see Miglazzoni. You're going to see maybe Bobby Mack. Again, this is a couple years out, but I'm guessing you're going to see some of their young talent. It's time for them. I think this is the nudge that you're not going to see the Westwoods and the Poulters. And even though Ian Poulter, again, is still undefeated in a singles match, it was unreal. Him and Rory were pretty rough in the teams match. But so, yeah, I think you're going to see Westwood. Lowry showed up pretty well from a rookie standpoint. Even Bernd Wiesberger did not look bad. He played pretty solid golf. So, long story short, I think you're going to see quite a change on the team when it comes to the European side, at least from a more rookie and talent getting in there. Okay, enough about that. It was an amazing Ryder Cup. Good that we kind of came out on the positive side, and now I guess we can say we've won the last, I believe, 2 out of 3. So, a little change then, hey, you lost the last 9 out of 11 or 4 out of 5. So, all right, let's now go focus to why we are here, and it is to talk about what I call the Chicken Open, the Sanderson Farms. I'm super excited about this tournament. I know it's not going to get a lot of coverage. It's not getting a lot of buzz. I think PGA Live only covers it on Thursday, Friday, and then you're going to get a few hours on the Golf Channel. I doubt it will even make it over to whatever NBC. Of course, they got football. So this is that time of the season, but we don't get a lot of coverage. On the flip side of all that, though, it's a great tournament. I know it very well. I've done very well at picking the players and also even bets. And so, I think I could definitely help you guys out here. So first off, we are heading over to Jackson, Mississippi, and they are going to be playing the Country Club of Jackson. It's actually hosted this event since 2014, so we have quite a bit of historical data and a lot of good analytics. And this is a course that there is no doubt of the type of player you need. Over the last 3 years, it has been very evident. We're going to talk about that. This course was actually opened way back in 1914 and then had a redesign back in 2018 by John Fott. It is a little bigger boy course. It's a par 72 coming in at 7,461 yards. You've got the Bermuda fairways. You got the 2-inch, very simple Bermuda Zoysia mixed rough. And then from a green side, you have a Champion Bermuda. This is the typical 156 player field. It's going to be cut down to T65. So again, it just emphasized we got to get our picks right, especially when you're making your last, 5th or 6th guy going in, that you can get that 6-6 through the weekend. If you do that, you will probably definitely cash. The winning scores have been a little bit up there. You got Sergio last year. I believe it was his first time playing in this event and won 19 under. And then you had Sebastian Munoz with his first win on the PGA Tour, shot 18 under. And then you had Cameron Champ, also believe that was his second win. I think he won the Safeway before that. But either here or there, he shot 21 under. And all you got to do, real simply, is look at those three guys and see what do those guys do well. And what they do well is they ball strike the shit out of the ball, and they are super streaky with the putter. If you want to say even maybe not that great. And so I'll tell you right off the bat, the number one thing that we are going to need here is the best ball strikers in the field. And we're not going to worry about the putter so much. I'm going to talk about why. Because there's some things here that will help guys that aren't the best putters. But you can go back and look at, Keegan Bradley almost won here last year. I mean, everything tells you that this is a ball strikers course, and they just need to have that one hot weekend with the putter. Okay, on that note, you got these just a hair over average size greens. So, and they're pretty simple. If you think of like what we saw at the Rocket Mortgage, it's going to have just subtle little breaks that you're going to need to figure out. But other than that, there's not these big sloping greens, and they're fast. They're super fast. And so my theory, and I'm pretty sure it's correct, that I go with is that when these guys get on these really fast greens, it actually helps the not so good putters. And why I say that is because you don't really have to worry about speed as much, really, because you're not worrying about all this undulation. All you're doing is finding the line and then making a stroke. And because it's so fast, it just stays on that line. And there's not a lot of undulation. Like I said, typically what I've noticed is there's just subtle little breaks around the hole that they, have to figure out or see. But that's really it. From a sand bunker side, nothing crazy. 56 sand bunkers. Same with water hazards. There's 7 of them. There's a little more water here than we've seen it like at the Fortinet that we just played at Silverado, but 5 of these holes, water actually comes into play. So again, a little water, and I already mentioned there's lightning fast greens. Again, I always say this, when you see an older traditional course, this is a very typical course that you've probably played in sometime in your golf history if you golfed. It's all right in front of you. It's a little narrower fairways. There's some trees, but nothing crazy. Like if you get in there, you're going to be able to get out. It's not like crazy tree. It's just tree line as in a tree here, a tree there, a tree there. You got some, fairway bunkers. Of course, you got the bunkers around. But again, around the green doesn't show up as a must-have here. It's, again, not very difficult to get up and down around the greens. A lot of chip-ins. And then just, this is my past notes from last year. It was, and this, again, just reiterates. I mean, right now, you saw the guy that I had on the opening screen. Corey Connors is a perfect guy to win this event. The best ball striker probably in the field, but just not the best putter. Also, Will Z. I mean, literally, I could put a team together without even going through any of the analysis for me, and I pretty much guarantee you it's gonna be a pretty solid team. So, but we're gonna go into the analysis anyways, just to make sure. And then last but not least, I already stated fast, simple greens. It makes crappy putters better. So again, just to kind of reiterate what I was saying. All right, so that's enough about the course. On that side, let's go take a quick look. So this is just a quick visual, and you can just see, pretty simplistic. I mean, you can see some water here, little water there, little water there, little water here. Not a ton of sand, but a little bit around the green. But, and you can see the trees I mentioned, but they're pretty sparse, and it's nothing for these guys to handle. And overall, I'd say the long par threes, there's, might be some defense for the course, but if the wind doesn't blow, and you've seen the scores before, I'm expecting 18 to 22 under, no problem. And again, this just gives you a little better view. And I always state at this point, if you've never seen this tournament or seen the course, even though I don't think there's anything tricky here, but, sometimes if you go watch the round, 1, 2, 3, 4 highlights of this tournament last year, it's actually, funny enough, it is the 2020 is what you need to put in, but technically it's a 2021 tournament, but for whatever reason on YouTube, they kind of put that in correctly. Yeah, go check that out. And again, you'll just get some things. You're going to see like Kevin Chappell, the first round, shot like 7 under, and then just fell apart. But, also a great ball striker in his day, just always been dealing with some injuries. Okay. So if we go look at the scorecard, just so you can get a quick understanding, right off the bat, it's a gentle handshake. You've got, you can look right here about 5 opportunities to, get off on a great run. And then you got, a couple stronger holes that you just need to manage. And then on the backside, you got about 4 opportunities. And then, but it's the finishing, which is typical of these kind of tournaments. The last 3 holes could definitely change the outcome. You got the number 1 handicap hole, this long par 4. And then you've got another crazy long par four, which is 500. So hence the ball striking, right? And even some of these long par threes. And amazing enough, here's the official scorecard released. I've never had this happen, but every hole I went through and verified is the exact yardage is what I have up here from previous history. So just note to self, I don't know why that is, but literally identical, and I've never seen that before. So I don't. They just literally, I guess, changed absolutely nothing, or someone didn't get the changes over. But everything looks the same, and so let me go back one more just so you can see again. So if for me, if I'm putting showdown together, I might just a little bit lean to guys going off the first tee because I've seen before the first five holes, man, they can just get on a tear. So I kind of like that. You can see again, it's very typical 6 birdie opportunities and 6 bogeys out there. And then, the rest are kind of the par opportunities. But, they can turn some of these pars, of course, around. And then also there is eagle opportunities. The number one being 11, par 5. That's where, a lot of these guys will, have a chance to pop an eagle in. Okay, I think that's enough about the scorecard. Let's go talk about what these guys need to win. And really, we already went over this, but I'll just reiterate. And this is what I built for my larger model. I had, of course, had a model from last year, but even redefine that. The good thing, you're always going to be getting better. The more you kind of do your analysis and the more you listen to and see, I'm always working on getting better. So I'm always redefining, finding little areas that I can make the models better. But the ultimate, which is rare. I don't know how many times ball striking's ever come up number one for me, but it is, like I said, we need simply put ball strikers who the putter pops, and that if you're new to stroking analysis, that is guys that kind of own it tee to green, that they hit really good off the everything except maybe their wedge play and their putter. They're really good at, and it's typically like the long irons or the hybrids. Those guys that hit those shots really well is what kind of sets them above and beyond the guys that, might struggle with that. The second thing is it's going to show, Sergio, Champ, even Sebastian Munoz, they can, pop the ball off the tee, and, hitting fairways here is not a crucial thing by any stretch, but I'm going to put it in. There is some trees, there is some water, but really I'm going to put a heavier weight on just the driving distance overall. Approach is always crucial. The closer, of course, you get it within that 20 feet, gives you that birdie opportunity or eagle. So putting, I put on here again, just so we don't get just disaster, things coming up. But it isn't, like I said, we're looking for that guy just had that one pop weekend. That's who's won here over and over and over. Scrambling, will come in if you're smoking the ball real far. You might have to do some scrambling to get to the green or around the green. And right now I just got birdie or better opportunities. So that's birdies or eagles. But when I do my smaller models to flush out the final guys, there will be the birdies turned on, and we can see who's had the most birdies over the last 12 rounds. The 2 procs to the pins that come up, so this is, of course, the pro shot, 100 to 125, 16%, and then 125 to 150 at 20%. Those are the 2 that kind of outstand compared to other PGA tournaments. Now, of course, also that 200 yardage over to get those eagle opportunities, or to go for in 2. So I might add that into the larger model at a later date, but right now those are the 2 that show up. I mentioned the 3 gettable par 5s where they need to, as typical, make their hay. You've got 4 par 4s between 4 and 450, so I'm going to put that in. And then you had 3 par 3s from 2 to 225 again. I'm sorry, 2 of them that come in at 200 to 225. There's actually one short one, and then one is 175 to 200. But typically when you get these long par 3s, again, the ball strikers are going to kind of set themselves aside. So that's what we're looking for. That's the area of excellence. We need the guys that could do that and perform the best in those areas. And then, like I said, I think this tells all right here. When you look at the past 3 winners and you look at the names, now that Molinari, that's a little bit, I'd say, not very usual, we'll say. And then, JT posted, he got it done with the putter. But the Keegan Bradley and the Sergio Garcia, when you get that Benoit Ann, is the worst putter on tour and shows up. And then Carlos Ortiz, he's actually, a pretty good ball striker, but is very streaky with the putter. He's in this tournament. He's very interested in me because he also won the Houston Open, which is a great comp course. There's Corey Connors, as I mentioned. You got Sam Burns, who I do believe is in this lineup and is a great Bermuda putter and a great ball striker. So there's another guy that you're going to probably going to want to focus on. Sungjae Im, funny enough, if he could have made a few more putts that year, he would have been all right. It'd have been a good showing. So, like I said, you can kind of see, especially like this grouping right here, except for Sam Burns, is a pure ball strikers where the putter can go either way. Like I said, Carlos Ortiz, I wouldn't say he's a bad putter, but you've got like the Munoz, so streaky, Garcia, Keegan Bradley, Cameron Champ, Corey Connors. All of those guys are elite ball strikers and just do not putt well. And you can kind of see it here. Really, you can look at approach, it's all green. You can see they had these, really nice little putting weeks. Typically, Cameron Champ gained 9 strokes putting. That's unheard of for Cameron Champ. And then really the tee to green is kind of, there's not a ball striking number here. I'm going to give that to you guys coming up here. But yeah, long story short, that is the success for winning at this course is going to be ball striking and the one guy that gets the hot putter. All right, so if we take that model that I just discussed, how to win, and we put it in right there, very rare that I weight anything 25%, but I believe it is that important here. So you got 25% on ball strikers, 10% on approach, 10% on distance, 5% on fairways gain. Again, not too much trouble you can get in if you get off a little bit wayward here. Again, I put putting in at 5%, just to see. I like the scrambling in there. Birdie or better, put that up to 10. And then the rest of these procs to the pins and the par 3s and the par 4s. And 3-putt avoidance, it actually does show up here because of how fast these greens are. So that's at 5. And then strokes gain, like I said, my mini model that I'll do when I actually start to flush out the exact guys we want to use will slim this down. But, for the big model, I like to see who comes up. And then there's no filters on, so I'm not looking at anything in particular here except what have they done in their last 3 tournaments or 12 rounds because maybe they missed a cut or something like that. And the guys that pop right now, this John Augustine, that's a little interesting. He did have a pretty good showing at the Fortinet, and really the Fortinet Silverado golf course is not a bad comp course. We'll talk about that, but we have some recent. A lot of these guys we just saw at the Fortinet Championship. Some guys are new. Like Corey Connors, Sam Burns, Will Z. I think he's someone that could finally get his first win. He is a awesome ball striker, but not a good putter. But again, I think this could be Henrik Norlander. Funny enough, that makes total sense. Same exact thing. Trying to see who else comes up. Bramlett, like I said, had success on the Corn Ferry before coming here. Fits that mold. Adam Hadwin had a good showing at the Fortinet. Cage Lee fits that mold. Aaron Wise, there's a perfect, amazing ball striker, terrible putter at times. So anyways, yeah, that gives you a quick showing of some guys you might want to think of just from recent form. And then here's some guys' history at CCF Jackson. Like I mentioned, Sergio, first time ever playing there, won. And that's like his first victory in a while, too. I don't remember off the top of my head, but that kind of came out of nowhere for Sergio. The ball striking made sense. It was just, again, Taylor. Now, these guys, there's a pretty who's list of who you might want to play. Sergio is coming, even though he just played at the Ryder Cup. He is in the field. Lucas Glover, who just won the John Deere. Same thing. Awesome ball striker. Terrible putter. He's someone we're going to look at. I think Aaron Wise, the Hofster, right? I mean, he had an amazing showing at the Valero and had that great Texas swing. But also the putting can just go total sideways. And this is Bermuda greens. Also, I think the number one, we'll get into it, but hold on. We'll hold that thought. I'll tell you in a second, the number one comp course, because I have a whole thing on that. Anyway, some more guys you might want to look at just with a history standpoint. And then there we go, comp courses. And so really I kind of rate these like 1 to 6. I think the number one comp course is Valero, and hence, again, why I think Corey Connors could just do amazing. I mean, if you look at Valero, right, that's TPC of San Antonio. They have Champion Bermuda green, so exact same kind of grass type. It's a par 72. It's 7,494 yards. They're fast greens. Everything, even from how that course sets up from the trees, it's identical, I think, from a course perspective. So I'd put that number one. Then the Houston Open, more back when they played at the CC of Houston, is a better comparable, but they also played Memorial Park just recently, which was a par 70, but it was 7,400 yards. That's Bermuda. That's a great comp course. I mentioned Silverado. Even though that was bent greens, Just a very similar kind of play and feel to that course than this one. The 3M, which has got more water, but and it's a bent, but similar green side, and also you've seen crossover winners there from like Cameron Champ, who just won the 3M Open. I think there's good similarities there. At Bay Hill at the API, very similar, par 72, 7,400 yards, Bermuda. That's got quite a bit more water, but a very good, also comparable course. And then the Rocket Mortgage, like you look at the guys who done well there. Cameron Davis, who just won, who's in this field, amazing ball striker. It's an old traditional course. It's not as long, but pretty close, 7,300 yards, par 72. It's a bent POA, but same field. I mean, the Rocket probably should be moved probably over the Fortinet. So if I'd pick it right now, it'd go Valero, the Houston Open, and the Rocket Mortgage would be my top 3 comparable courses. And if you put in par 72, 7,400 yards, that's it. I didn't put the type of grass. You got Matty Wallace, who, remember, he also had that great showing at the Valero. Corey Connors, Russ Henley. I mean, now there's an elite putter on Bermuda, but a great ball striker. So that's another thing we're going to look at. I am going to show you guys who's got the whole combination in this field, like a Sam Burns, because that's best. But then the best next thing is give me hey, great ball strikers, but not the best putters. Emiliano Grillo, Luke List, perfect example of an amazing ball striker, not the greatest putter. Trying to see if anybody else really pops. There's Kevin Chappell again. I mentioned him. He's had some success at this course, so that could be the sleeper of the week. Would be, and of course, I don't have pricing out yet from DraftKings, but when I get to the picks and all that, they'll have that finally out. So if you want to know who is the best ball strikers, period, in this field over the last 12 rounds, so the last 3 tournaments, number 1, Corey Connors. Hudson Swafford has been, he didn't have a very good showing at the Fortinet. I think he missed a cut, if I remember. But he was just ball striking the shit out of it. Will Z, I already mentioned. Joseph Bramlett, Mito Pierre has been playing great. KH Lee, great ball striker. CT Pan had a pretty good showing, I believe, I remember right, the Fortinet. Keegan Bradley, one of the best ball strikers, just one of the worst putters too. Right, and you got to remember at Valspar, right, where he challenged, where Sam Burns won, and that's not a bad comp course either. I'll probably add that to the list when I'm doing my final kind of selection. Keegan was right there, right, and because the putter finally heated up. Russ Henley shows up again. This Taylor Pendrith, coming off the Corn Ferry, just kills the ball, easy 300 plus, and had a pretty good showing just recently at the Fortinet. So someone else we have to keep an eye on. And so I put this in, even though I don't think putting is crucial. Like I would not pick a Brennan Todd, or even JT Poston had that showing. I still would not pick him. A McCarthy, I would not pick him, or Hadley. But a Sam Burns, yes, that would be a top 10 pick already in my brain. Patty Kazire, hey, I didn't pick him 2 weeks ago at the Fortinet, but he's showing up, and he's not a terrible ball striker. He's coming up 68th now. Again, he's my brokeback guy, just waiting for Patty Kazire to get that win again. Villajagas, not the greatest ball striker. There's Carlos Ortiz. I told you, he's a pretty good ball striker. Ranks 88th again. This is over the last 24 rounds. So whenever I look at putting, I always take a bigger sample size. Is there anybody else on this list? Scott Stallings can poke the ball and had a good showing. He ended up top 5 at the Fortinet. And then there's Charlie Hoffman again, that, as I mentioned, had that great, showing at Valero and at Texas run. So, a lot of these guys keep showing up again. So I think it's going to, if all goes as correct, I think it's going to be a really good week from a DFS perspective and even a betting side. I actually did not get my bets out yet. They don't have it yet. So I'll put my early favorite bets tomorrow on the pick show. And then if you want to know who's letting the big dog eat, who's, hitting the ball the longest, and that's it. We're just looking at driving distance. Because like I said, I think that is also very crucial to this. You got Trey Mullinex, who, was kind of interested. I bet on last week. You got Bramlett. Matthew Wolff, I did not even know he was in the field, but he could be an interesting sleeper pick, right? Won the 3M Open. As soon as I see some betting odds, I will be betting on Matthew Wolff. Brandon Hagee's been due. I mean, the guy just pokes it and has been showing up. Who also McCumber, has had some good showings. Patrick Rogers, Will Z again. I think probably going to be the most expensive. I would say from DFS. Probably the guys I've been talking about: Corey Connors, Will Z, Sam Burns. That's going to be like probably your top three most expensive guys in DFS. So then it's going to be figuring out how do we put those guys in, and then also find the talent below. Okay, and then I did mention that I didn't have my bets out, but actually I no way could put out the preview show without the early favorite bets, and they came out right after I was done recording. So I've added this in for you guys because it's like a kid in a candy store. There's some really good plays from an odd perspective here. So let me tell you about my top 5 favorite early favorite bets. Now again, this is leaning towards the guys that have the high odds but have that chance to win. And I think from the odds that we're getting, these are the guys that I have already bet on. My number one, right out of the bat, I really like Sub Straka. Again, perfect example of a guy that is pretty good ball striking. I would say, I don't say a lead off the tee, but he's got the length and can get super hot. Right, he had a good showing at the Olympics. He's been streaky. Either he's had that miscut or he shows up. It's a good guy to bet. So at 150 to 1, I've already got Sub Straka put down. So I'd hit that while those odds stay there. I already mentioned Brandon Hagee earlier in the show. The guy's, again, has had his pop-ups where he's shown, but I mean, he's got the distance. If he gets that hot putter, 200 to 1, I like that. Also, Adam Schenk has been just nipping at getting his win on tour. So he's a little lesser odds, but still getting pretty good odds. 80 to 1 because he doesn't have a win yet, but I think, again, fits everything we're looking for at this course. And then Lucas Glover, I was kind of shocked. He's actually at 100 to 1, an elite ball striker, a past major champion. He just won the John Deere Classic, and where I picked him right off the bat. Now, he's not my favorite, but I think at 100 to 1, I think it's a great bet and something that I put some money on. And last but not least, I mentioned in the show Henrik Norlander, a guy that can ball strike the shit out of the ball. It's just whatever he does with the putter. So again, 150 to 1. So I wanted to get this into the show for you guys because, like I said, if someone gets on these and money starts flowing in on them, right, the odds are going to go down. Now, I think there's a ton of good bets out there. You got Aaron Wise, 50 to 1. You've got the favorites, as I already mentioned, like the Corey Connors and the Will Z's and the Sam Burns, but all the odds on those guys are crap. So I'm still going to bet on Corey Connors because he's my favorite pick to win. But these are the guys that could do it, and we've seen before, like the Sergio Garcias, even when Champ won here, Keegan Bradley, when he almost won, from an odds perspective, these guys could also. And that's what's nice about the Sanderson Farms, that there is opportunities to hit some long odd guys. So, and with that said, that wraps it up. It's, pretty quick, but I'm super excited, funny enough, for the Chicken Open. I just know this so well. There's certain tournaments that I come in with a lot of confidence and swagger. RBC Heritage is one, the Valspar, the John Deere. I picked the winners. If you want to know my winner right now, I'm going with Corey Connors, with Will Z being option B. So that's my top 2 right there. So again, I appreciate it for spending the time with me. If you would do me the honor of clicking that like button, share it with anybody else. I know some of you guys have said to me, we don't want really anybody else to know about you because we feel like we have an advantage. I understand that. But the more we grow the community, the longer I can keep doing this. Also, on that note, we are over 920 subscribers. I'm 80 subscribers off from hitting that 1,000 threshold. That would mean the world for me. If you could click the subscribe button, if you are new and not a subscriber, I would appreciate greatly. I promise it'll be worth your while. I put out 3 shows a week, and I think I do the best deep dive analysis that's out there. That's my own personal opinion, but hopefully you guys agree. And last but not least, if I can help you, if you have any questions with anything from bets, DFS lineups, one and done, I believe, is started up. I don't know, depending on which one and done you're doing. I can help you with that, or hit me up on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. All the best of us. I'm still, even though not the biggest tournaments, we're kind of in that lull period. But these are the tournaments that the guys that do the work are going to win nice on DFS, even though I think it's 100K total, or largest prize for GPP, but still it's 100K. But it's the showdowns, and it's the bets where we can really make some nice cash. All right, guys, thanks so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow when I put out my picks and bets. And take care.